Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to set majority of the keys when it comes to using the Keyline 303. I'm going to go over Volkswagen, Lexus, Promaster, Honda, GM flips, and Ford high security. And it'll give you an idea and some tips and tricks that I've seen over the years to make this really easy to use. So let's go ahead and start with the Honda. So I'm going to say I have a Honda key. What I like to do is I took off the shield. I took off the safety shield so you can see a little better. So I'm going to use the spacer and I'm going to open and set that in there, and I'm going to set the other Honda key in place. Now I'm just using brand new keys. I'm not using customer keys just to make this video. But what I'm going to do is point out the pros and cons of what I see. So when I have this set up, let me angle it up a smidge more. So I'm able to, when I calibrate, I can check green, green, green. So when I'm cutting, I'm able to go around and I'm able to go over here. Now, if I slip and miss or jump off, it's not gonna damage. If I have the Honda key all the way forward, it will damage this tip stop. And as you can see, I have one from long ago where it got chewed up a lot because the Hondas, you always jump off and you keep on damaging it. So what I do is I have it here, and all I do is I go and I cut, go around, and I'm able to protect these tip stops and protect a lot of the cut plates. So that's what I do for Hondas. You can do whatever you like, but I just find it to be very advantageous for myself. So that's gonna be for a Honda combo key or Honda emergency key insert, any Honda blade or Acura blade. Now, if you look at a Lexus, some of them, and some for the Hyundais or Kias, will have this rib. Now, sometimes when we put it in here, it'll be locked in place because it's pressing, the cut plate is touching this rib and it's fine. But if your cut plate is damaged, you cannot grip and it's just gonna slip out, slip out, slip out. So what I've noticed is if you open this more, let me drop it down. If you open this more, and again, use that. So I'm going to open it all the way and lock it in, if that makes sense. So what I do is I have that rib as the stop. Can you see that? I have it like that. So now I can do the same thing for the other Lexus key, and they're both calibrated and level. So if I back it up, I'm able to, again, I'm not resting like that because that would be off if I calibrate way off. But what I'm doing is I'm opening it. So instead of pressing up against this spine, I'm having it rest up on here. So this part is resting on here. So I open it, slide it in, and you gotta make sure it's on point. Tighten, put your tools back, take off the spacer, and check calibration. Good, good, good. So you can do that. If your cut plates are damaged, you can still cut a Lexus key, no problem. So that's how you'd work a Lexus if you have damage on it. And let's look at like a Fiat 500 or a Promaster like ignition key. Same thing. Always use your spacer because you're going to be cutting there. You just don't want to damage that tip stop. And you're going to notice you have that step right here. So what you want to do is line it up. And it's pretty straightforward. It's a flat edge, no problems. Take out the spacer, check calibration, thicker, cool, and good. So let's go ahead and, oops, check other keys. So now we have like the GM flips. This is going to be like for any sort of GM or Chevy high security blades. These you can go all the way forward, or with the spacer. Again, I like to use the spacer because I'm able to, one, avoid getting damage on the tip, and then two, I'm able to see a little better. So think about this, when you have the shield down and you're trying to cut the tip over here, it's kind of far out of your vision. But if it's closer right here, it's not so far away. So you're able to see a little better and you can cut better. And you're not gonna damage this. It also removes any sort of issues, and you can wiggle it more and you can make sure that it's in there tight. If it's all the way forward, you can't do a wiggle test because you're gonna wiggle here. It's not a good benchmark. And take that out. Now, if you look at a Volkswagen key, this is going to apply for Volkswagen, some BMWs. You're going to notice that it is not normal. See how it's not normal? You have that lip. How do we cut these? We can't put it in flat. Well, we can, but it looks weird, right? So what we want to do is, again, spacer. You want to make sure that you have the cut plate pressing on this side and on the bottom part there. So I'm going to open it, put that one in there, and this side. So when we look at it, it's going to be at an angle. It's going to be higher on this point because the lip, it's resting. It's resting on there, and then it's being pinched on this side. So it's going to be higher. So when we calibrate and we look at it, so if we calibrate on this side, on the edge, let's fix it. So if I click on here, it's going to be on the right side, red then green, red then green, red then green, good. But then if I go on this side, it's not going to pull down and get green because it is a height difference. So what we want to do, and it's also going to be like a 3mm cut path. We're using a 2.5 mil. So when we're going to do this, we want to find down the middle, happy medium, not on the edge, not like a GM key, but we want to find down the middle to get the best possible cut. So we want, if I zoom out, for the calibration, we want to have it red then green. So red on this side, then green. Red then green, red then green, and we want to cut. You want to hug the one side first, go up and down, and then hug the other side, but it's going to lift up because it's at that angle. And see how it puts a little cut in there? Because it's going to be at an angle, so you got to be careful. And then you take it out and you flip it. So that's how you do a Volkswagen and some BMW keys. Now for a Ford high security, this is going to be like the turnkey ignition. You can put them all the way in, which is one thing. Now if you have it like halfway in and tighten with the spacer, it's going to be okay. But I notice it will pop out once you cut the other side because how it cuts, it's going to be half material here is missing. So what we want to do is all the way forward and really tighten. So only the section here, can you see that? So only the section here and here are being pinched by the cut plates to hold it in place. Everything else here is kind of floating. It's not really being held in place. So the trick is make sure it doesn't wiggle out. You probably have to use tools and hand tighten or tool tighten to make it even tighter, but also go a little slower when you're cutting so that the cutting bit doesn't throw a lot of force on the blade. So you want to make sure it's extra tight and take your time to cut that. You're only cutting like the edge off. You're not cutting hard like a GM key. You just don't want it to fly off. If it doesn't work in here, stick it in the Gymkhana. But if your cut plates are all messed up from bad cutting on your side, you won't be able to do these Ford high security keys. And take it out, and take it out. So that's how we're gonna do those keys. The big thing is the Volkswagens. It's very tricky for some people, and the Hondas. Other than that, like the Hyundais and the Kias, pretty straightforward. If you can do the keys I showed you, you can do those as well. And yeah, pretty simple, straightforward. Thanks guys, bye.